Hi, I'm Taylor with Mom on the Spectrum, and today I'm going to be sharing a simple 3-step strategy to help you as an autistic adult get the support that you deserve in your relationship, especially as it pertains to autistic meltdowns. If you're new to the channel, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. I started this channel a few years ago now after I received a professional autism diagnosis at the age of 31, and it changed my life so much that I just had to tell the world about it. So now I create resources to help support autistic adults, and if that sounds like something that might be helpful to you, I would love it if you subscribe and become a part of this beautiful community that we have here. One way that you can instantly connect to the community here is to join the conversation in the comments below this video. The first step of our 3-step strategy that I'm sharing today is to learn as much as you can about autistic meltdowns. When I was first diagnosed, I really didn't have a grid for understanding just how diverse meltdowns can be for people on the spectrum. I thought that it always looked like crying uncontrollably and not having control, like in a public setting. And that's really just a very small way that it can present. Sometimes for people, yes, it can look like that, but it can also look like withdrawing socially and shutting down and losing your words and feeling really overwhelmed and like you don't want to be touched. There's all different ways that it can manifest and present in your life. And it's really important that you learn everything you can about autistic meltdowns so you can better support yourself. If you are interested in furthering your research in this area, I've created my own resource called the Meltdown Survival Guide that goes much more in depth on what a meltdown actually is, why it happens, how it relates to our nervous system, and different supports that you can use in your life. If you're interested in checking that out, I have a link in the description. The second step in our 3-step strategy is to identify your patterns. So once you know more about how meltdowns actually work, you can start to identify what they look like in your life. So like I said, not everybody's gonna cry or lose control in a meltdown situation. So for me personally, I kind of lose the ability to speak. I stumble over my words. I just kind of forget that I'm not communicating and I go pretty silent. I need to have isolation. I need to be by myself. I need to cut out all extraneous sensory input possible. So dim the lights, take away sounds, put on my headphones, get in comfortable clothing. So over time, you can start to identify those types of patterns in your life as well. Something to note is that these patterns are going to change over time. So you'll notice that your meltdowns might look different in the summer, for instance, than they do in the winter. Like for example, in Texas, it is so hot this summer. I can't believe I have a blazer on right now. It's like regularly getting to a heat index of 110. And that in itself is a huge sensory overload. And so that affects my meltdowns in this season of life in a different way than it does in the winter, for example. So you'll want to revisit your patterns over time and really set intention and create time to stay curious about your patterns and how they're affecting your life. I have a free tool that I can share with you today that was developed by psychologist Dr. Jennifer Williams to help us better understand our patterns. It's called the Plan Cope Recovery Protocol, and I will put a link to that free resource in the description. It's going to help you identify your patterns. It's going to help you brainstorm different coping strategies for supporting yourself in those situations and so much more. It's a great resource. I hope you'll check it out. I also want to encourage you on this step to learn how to accept your patterns with grace and curiosity. So I talk often on this channel about how curiosity and judgment are two different sides of the same coin. So when you notice yourself being judgmental about your patterns, why do I always get this way? Why do I get defensive? Why do I get so mad? Why do I shut down? Whenever you notice yourself getting judgmental, see if you can take that as an invitation to become more curious and be more gentle with yourself and kind of explore maybe what led to this point. Ask yourself gentle questions and see if that can give you more clarity on what's happening. Another thing you could do on this step is brainstorm different supports to use when you are in meltdown. For example, I've noticed that it's really helpful for me to just keep snacks in my purse all the time because if I'm hungry, that's a really easy trigger to push me towards meltdown. So I keep snacks on hand. I keep my earbuds on hand always. I have a link to my favorite ones in the description. And I always make sure I have different sensory supports with me like fidgets. Again, that Plan Cope Recover protocol is really going to help you brainstorm some more ideas there. The third and maybe the most crucial step in this whole process is communicating your patterns to your partner when you're in a well-regulated state. So what happens, and what I hear in my one-on-one sessions that I do with the autistic community, is that it's really hard to communicate when you're in a meltdown. So it is best to do this step when you are in a well-regulated state. I know for some of us that seems like maybe a more rare occurrence at this stage in life. I hear you. So be gentle with yourself. Find a time that feels okay, even if it doesn't feel great, maybe it feels okay. And let your partner know that you want to share some important things with them about your needs. It's important here to recognize that you might not want to have this conversation verbally. I know for many of us, especially communicating important things can be hard face to face. So it would be okay here to write down your thoughts on a piece of paper and share them with your partner. Also, while I was preparing for this video, I was thinking of many creative artists that I have had the pleasure of interacting with in this community and thinking, if you're a creative spirit, maybe create something that helps you express what it's like to be in a meltdown and use that as a catalyst for getting into a discussion with your partner about these experiences that you have. In the beginning stages, you might have to teach your partner what an autistic meltdown is and what that looks like specifically for you. And that's where the Meltdown Survival Guide might be helpful. That's actually something you could give to them to read, and that would do your job for you. So you might consider giving the Meltdown Survival Guide to your partner so they know where you're coming from. They know what an autistic meltdown is. They know that it's not an excuse to not do chores around the house, whatever, that it's a real frustrating experience that, especially when you're in the middle of it, is almost impossible to communicate about what's going on. The next part of this process is expressing yourself and your needs in a clear way. Now, this is easier said than done, and I just want to make a note here that this is a lifelong process. Communicating our needs doesn't start off being easy at all. It can actually feel selfish. It's not. It actually helps you show up more fully in the relationship. But in order for you to be able to express your needs, you have to get clear about what those are. Once you get clear about what you need, for example, whenever I go nonverbal, I need to be by myself in order for my words to come back. Okay, so that's something clear and specific that I can state so that my partner understands what's going on. One way that I could ask for help is I could say, whenever I go nonverbal, it would really help me out if you could recognize that and get me to a quiet place and just let me have some space for a while. Okay, so that's one clear way that I could communicate my need to my partner. A really important part of this third step is revisiting this conversation. So this is a learning process not only for you, but especially for your partner to learn how to accommodate you and what types of things actually are working. So let's say maybe after you have a meltdown and you've gotten back to a place where you're more well-regulated, this could be a week later, a month later, you revisit this conversation and say, hey, here's what worked last time, and I appreciate that you helped make this happen. Here's where I wish we could make some changes and some ideas I had that might work better in the future. And then check in with your partner. How does this process affect you? How do you feel when I'm in a meltdown? And how can I be more aware of your needs and make you feel more appreciated? So I don't say that to add pressure to you. I know a lot of times as the neurodivergent partner, we already feel like we have so much extra cognitive stress. I just want to bring that up as a reminder that if your partner is doing the work to help accommodate your needs, just make sure you're checking in with them as well to make sure that you're both hearing each other and doing what you can to support each other's needs, even if they're really different than yours. So to summarize, always keep learning. Accept your own patterns and stay curious about them, and then communicate with your partner regularly in a way that feels good to you. You deserve to be validated and supported. There's nothing wrong with you. You just have a different approach to life. You have different needs, different perspectives. And honestly, society hasn't really been great at giving us an example for how to accommodate neurodivergent needs in a relationship. So give yourself grace, give your partner grace, and trust your intuition. If something isn't feeling right, it's not feeling good in the relationship, make a point to speak about it and don't sweep things under the rug. You should not neglect your needs. You are worthy of a fulfilling and healthy relationship where your needs are regularly met. You do not have to downplay your needs to be accepted, celebrated, validated, loved. You're a whole person, a beautiful person, and I really hope the information in this video will help you feel more supported and better equipped to navigate your relationship going forward. If you're interested in other free resources that I offer, and depending on when you're watching this, I'm going to be offering 4 free webinars in September of 2023 over nervous system regulation. If it's not September, just know that I try to do these events regularly, and you can check for updates on my website at momonthespectrum.life. I will leave links for the Meltdown Survival Guide, the Planned Cope Recovery Protocol, and the free webinars in the description. Thank you so much for watching. I hope to interact with you in the comments, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.